Alright, moving on to the reflection solutions. It says reflection at the top, so make sure yours is like this. When you're on all these ones, you're starting out with this function, and then you need to do your reflection, your stretches or whatever, to it. And so I'm going to already have that one drawn on all the graphs here, and then I'm going to make the adjustment from there. So the black is not the solution, the red is going to be the solution for all these ones, okay? On number one, you just got a negative in front of the function value, and so if you have a negative there, you're reflecting your entire function over the x-axis. And so basically all the y values are the opposite of what they used to be. But the x values stay the same. So if you got a point here, the point 2, 3, it's now going to be to negative 3, which is going to be right there. These guys both are at a y value of 2. I mean 1. What am I talking about? There's now going to be negative 1. The x value is going to stay the same though. And this guy used to have a y value of negative 2. Now he's going to be positive 2. And so once you got your function looking like that, the red is your solution for it. Notice reflected over the x-axis. 2, you need to reflect it over the y-axis, and that's because the negative's inside there in the middle. And so if you got a guy here, that's the point 2, 3, he's now the point negative 2, 3. So everything's flipping over the y-axis here. Okay, this guy and these guys basically just trade places. They're in the same spot. They just happen to switch sides. And this guy used to be the point negative 2, negative 2. Now he's going to be the point, the point negative 3, negative 2. Now he's the point positive 3, negative 2. So he's going to be right there. And so now we got our lovely function. It's the same as the old one, just reflected over this y-axis. Moving on to 3. This one's different. Notice it's not just negative up front, it's negative 2. So you basically take all the y values and times them by negative 2. So if you have a guy here at the point 2, 3, you're going to times the 3 by negative 2. So it's now going to have a y value of negative 6, but the x value is going to stay the same. And so it's x value of 2, but a y value of negative 6. Which that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yep. This guy used to have a y value of 1. Now we're going to times it by negative 2. It's going to be negative 2. 1 again becomes negative 2, but the x value stays the same. This guy had a y value of negative 2, and you times that by negative 2, you get positive 4, and so he is going to be right there. Remember, x value stays the same, but the y value changes. Notice my function has stretched, and that makes sense because this number out front makes it a vertical stretch. Moving on to 4, we need to reflect this one over the y-axis and then move everything down 3. So it's got multiple transformations going on here. Let's reflect it over, and we actually did that on number 2. These guys traded places. This guy here has moved to the left side, and this guy here moves over to the right side. And that's where like an intermediate place would be for my points. I need to move them all down 3 though. So this guy needs to move down to right here. These guys need to move down 3 to be right here and here. And then this guy on the end there needs to move down 3 as well to get right there. And so my new function is going to be looking like this red one filling in right now, okay? So these points were just intermediate points to help me get to my end here, so I really don't need them at this point. Anyway, so there you go. There's 4. Moving on to 5. We need to, it's looking like reflected over the x-axis first, the negative out front there, and then move everything up 2. So if these guys all got flipped over the x-axis, that'd be just like number 1 that we did. We get points there and there. This guy would have a point there. And this guy would be on the other side of the x-axis, which is right there. And so these are kind of my intermediate points. I need to now move everything up to. So my points are going to go up to, I'm going to make these bigger just so we make sure we're getting them in the right spot and not confusing with our old points. So there are my new points, my new function, the transformed one. Okay, these old points are just like intermediate steps to help me get there, and so I don't really need them. The new one's the red one. Moving on to 6, and this is kind of our last one. It is the last one. You need to reflect first and then do the horizontal shift. Remember that adding 2 inside is like a shift of -2, so you're going to have to move everything left 2. But make sure we follow order of operations. We have to do the times by the negative first. So we're going to reflect this one over the y-axis. So all these points need to be reflected over. So this point here is now on the opposite side. These points just exchange with each other. And then this guy goes to the other side as well. It goes right there. And now we need to do a horizontal shift of -2. So all these points need to go left 2 spots. And I'm going to make those points bigger so we can tell that's the final part. And let's see. So there's my points, and now I can connect them up to finish up my function. And these old points really didn't do anything. They just helped us out. They're not part of the final answer. And so just the red connected graph is my solution for 6. The end.